You're listening to the Mindful Mama Podcast, episode 144. Today we're talking about 10 reasons why retreats are important with Carla Naumburg. Welcome to the Mindful Mama Podcast. Here it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have. And when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clark-Field's Mindful Mama Mentor. I coach overstressed moms on how to cultivate calm in their daily lives and to create more peace and cooperation in their families. I've been practicing mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I'm the author of the upcoming new book, Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind, confident kids. Welcome! I am so glad you are here today. This is a conversation that you will get to join me with my good friend, Carla Naumburg. And we're going to be talking about retreats and why are retreats important. You know, there's a lot of reasons how they allowed you to pull back and get inspired. And as you join me in this conversation, you're going to hear how retreats can actually are helpful to your family as well. And you're going to hear why exactly retreats might be even helpful to your partner. And it includes, but goes beyond the need to kind of have other people cook your meals for you and to take that time and space. But we talk about, you're going to hear us talk about how you get that time to sort of step back from who you are, away from your role. So I can't wait for you to join me in this conversation with my friend Carla Naumburg. Before we dive in real quickly, I want to thank Geraldine for the review, the 5-star review on iTunes. She said, it gives me great joy to know there's a whole podcast just for us. She's glad to know she wasn't the only one who was an irritable mama. And now I can bring my parenting up a level and pass on that goodness to my kiddos. Hooray for that. Hooray for you. Thanks so much, Geraldine, for the review. And also, that's a great way to support the podcast. So please, reviews are wonderful. If you haven't given one, I love, love, love them. They make me feel so good. Thank you. Thank you. And sharing it and all those wonderful things. But I also want to let you know real quickly before we dive in that I am having conversations right now, and we are wrapping up registration for my group coaching program, the Mindful Mama Transformation Group. And you can find out more information about that at mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching. And it's 5 months in the new year. And if you check it out and you're interested, just shoot me an email, hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com, and we can hop on the phone and talk about it. So cool. So that's the announcements that I have for you today. Yeah, check out that group coaching. It would be wonderful to take this beyond the earbuds, my friend. All right, now on to this episode. All right, 10 reasons why retreats are important. Here we go. Carla, welcome back to the Mindful Mama Podcast.
Hunter, I'm so happy to be here, and I am so excited about today's topic.
Yay! Today, we are talking about 10 reasons why retreats are important. And you're here to talk about this with me because, dun, 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 you and I are holding a retreat soon.
Yes, this is our second time doing this together. And the first time was third?
Isn't it our third time doing it?
I don't know, is it?
Didn't we do 2 before? Oh my God, I can't remember.
Blame the children. They stole our brain cells. I don't know, but I love doing retreats with you. So it's our 5th time. Let's just say 5th, as long as we're just making up numbers. It's our 5th. It's our 8th time doing a retreat together.
But today we're going to be talking about retreats and why they are so important. And Carla, my dear friend, is on to talk about them with me. And as you know, if you're a regular listener, that Carla has been on the Mindful Mama podcast the most. Woo-hoo! You're like the queen guest.
Yes, nailed it. I'm like Steve Martin, who's done like 27, hosting appearances on Saturday Night Live. I'm like him of Mindful Parenting podcasts.
You are. You're that. You're that for me. You're that for me. So tell the listener, please, who you are, my dear.
The listeners, you mean?
Well, we're talking to one person in one person's ear right now.
You only have one listener, Hunter. We got to work on this podcast. Oh, Hunter. Sorry. Okay, dear listener. Hi. My name is Carla and I have poor self-regulation. No, that's not what I'm saying. So I'm a clinical social worker and I also am a parent coach and I write books about parenting. And I'm working on my third book right now, which is called How to Stop Losing Your Beep with Your Kids. But the title actually has the real word. I just don't want to say it on Hunter's podcast. And that book is going to be out this summer. And I live in Massachusetts with my husband and 2 daughters and 2 crazy cats.
Yay. I have 2 crazy cats too.
And you have 2 daughters.
Carla, I didn't tell you this, so I'm going to tell you and the listener at the same time, which is kind of exciting. And what made me think of it was your cats. It was a little off topic on retreats, but it's kind of, anyway, my family and I are doing a home exchange next summer with a family in France. We're trading our house for 4 weeks. We're trading houses. And the funny thing is that we're also kind of like trading cats because obviously the cats aren't going with us. So they have a cat and we have 2 cats. And so my cats are going to be like, what happened to my humans? And who are you? It's so random. But anyway, it's neat that we can trade cats too, don't you think? I'll tell you more.
That's super neat, but now you're going to France for a month, so we can't be friends anymore. I'm sorry. That's just my rule. I can't be friends with people who go to France for a month.
You can come visit me.
Oh, well, my kids are going to sleepaway camp next summer. What? So maybe I could come visit you.
There you go. There you
That's
go. But
amazing.
today we are talking about retreats. We will talk about home exchange in France another time. But
no, I'm never talking about that with you again, ever. Don't ever. It'll be fine.
Deep breath. And today we're talking about 10 reasons why we think retreats are important. And Carla and I obviously both agree that they are important. And these are we've put together some of the reasons why. But, first, what is a retreat, right? A retreat comes from the Latin verb to pull back. So a retreat is a place where we pull back from the world. And, there are so many reasons why we want to do retreats. They allow us to take that step back from our lives, get perspective, to get inspired, to become spacious, to kind of detox from the go busyness of our life. But I put together these 10 reasons and we're going to talk about some of those reasons. And that's what this conversation is going to be about today. Carla, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So I would like to say that Hunter put together an incredibly thoughtful and rich and really inspiring list of reasons to go on retreat. And I read it and I was like, oh, she's right. I just go to get away from my kids and have someone else cook me dinner. Like, I just want to sleep through the night and wake up and not have to feed anyone. But no, having said that, like all of also you can have like uninterrupted adult conversations, which is amazing. But yes, we are going to go through this list. It's all true. I had never been on a retreat until my daughters were little and I knew that I needed a break. And if I, just went to a hotel for a night, I would just sit and binge on TV all night long. And that's not what I wanted for myself. So I hadn't thought through why retreats are so amazing as clearly as Hunter had. And then when I read her list, I was like, oh yeah, that happened. So this is a great list. And if anything in it inspires you, it probably comes from Hunter, unless you are super inspired by someone else having you make you dinner, in which case that's all me. That's me.
That part is so great too, actually, because a lot of retreats have great dinner.
I was surprised because I was really scared it was going to be just all green stuff, like just lots of greens and like really uber healthy, like quinoa and greens. And it was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It was delicious.
Dinner is one of those questions to ask about on a retreat because, people have different dietary needs and things like that. But yeah, there can be amazing dinners. And in fact, we'll tell you about I'm doing a retreat in Costa Rica later, and that dinner, I know the chef Javier, he's so good. He's so good. But dinner, I don't have dinner on the list, so we can't talk about Javier. And he cooks with his daughter. His 19-year-old daughter, Hillary and Javier. They're so cute.
That's adorable.
Okay, we're really getting off topic. Okay, let's dive into Let's dive into number one. Number one reason to go on retreat is to pull back. And the idea on this is strategic. You're withdrawing from your regular life, pulling in all that energy that's otherwise fanned out and thinned out in a bazillion different directions. and you gather your forces, and you either just let that retreat be about gathering your forces and just resting, or maybe focusing on something you love, right? And so this idea of pulling back is a place to really, when we think about pulling back our viewpoint, we're getting a perspective, right? We're pressing pause on all the different things we're doing in life, and we regroup and re-energize, right? It's about thinking about what is important to you, what inspires you, and taking that perspective on your life to really say, when I take this space back, then I can come back more fully energized. But it's that idea of just retreat, like
run away. Oh, sorry, not that. Sorry.
I'm going to be showing my kids Monty Python soon. I'm so excited. For anyone who didn't get Carla's reference, it's Monty Python, and is it like Quest for the Holy Grail?
Possibly, or maybe Life of Brian. I don't know.
I can't remember.
Say that a lot when I think about parenting.
Yes. So it's about taking that time to strategically pull back. And for me, I think I need that time. I need that time pretty regularly. Like I need a little bit of time to pull back on a regular basis. And then, maybe once or twice a year, I need some more time to just kind of pull back and take stock. What do you think, Carla?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, a big part of it is getting perspective. Like I can get so caught up in the tiny little details of daily life and get so easily frustrated by or worried about, things that really, they're important, but they're not the most important, or, I don't have to get so sucked into them. And just literally stepping away from all of that really helps me get some perspective that helps me be sort of calmer and more grounded and less crazy, neurotic, for lack of a better word. So yeah, I love this idea of, intentionally kind of stepping away from daily life for a period of time.
And I think, daily life, it seems like, I don't know, I feel like daily life is filled with a bunch of, I feel like it's filled with a bunch of, like, if you look at things kind of from the perspective of, we're either in love or we're in fear. Like daily life is filled with a bunch of little fears, right? Like we're scared we said the wrong thing, or we're scared we're going to be late, or, we're worried about this and worried about that. And then we've got the news and all of those things. And we build this muscle of worry and fear in our lives just by kind of practicing it all the time. And we don't realize that this sort of toll this takes on us. And I think it can kind of eat away at us bit by bit. And the idea of pulling back is, for me, it's this idea of like kind of pulling back and giving yourself permission to just rest, giving yourself permission. I guess this dives into number 2, like kind of, which number 2 is become spacious. But this idea of pulling back from all those worries and just saying, you know what, right now I don't have to, I give myself permission not to engage in all the worries of the world for like this, weekend or this week or this day or whatever it is. And that rest from all the little, being in that place of fear and sitting with all those worries, that I find that part like is one of the biggest rejuvenators.
Absolutely. And I think that number 2, where we talk about sort of becoming more spacious and just feeling like you can breathe again, you can think again, you can kind of just get into a different, more open headspace. I think that and getting inspired, which is really our number 3 reason for going on retreat, both of those take time. And this is why a retreat, even if it's just, 2 days, it's important to give yourself the time because, like I took a mindfulness-based stress reduction course many years ago, and it was 2 hours once a week, and I would, be in the car, driving in traffic, and I'd get there, and then it felt like as soon as I had finally just started to calm down and get regrounded, I had to turn around and get in the car and race home and pick up the girls and do dinner, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one of the joys of a retreat, and even if you can just go for a full day, that's better than an hour or 2, is that when you let yourself be fully present for a day or 2 or 4 or however long, you are really giving yourself time to sort of step away, find that space to think and breathe and notice, and not feel constantly sort of jammed in by everything that needs to get done, or the pile of library books that needs to get returned, or the Legos all over the floor, the dishes that need to be done. And yes, I am looking around my house right now, and that's what's going on here. you finally can sort of open up a little bit, but it takes time. And that's one of the key differences between just sort of a class or a podcast or something like that, and really giving yourself a couple of days to step away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in our lives, like, yeah, the Legos, right? But everything's vying for our attention, like our cell phone, our kids, the dinner, the bills, our partner, all that stuff. And all the time is taken up, like all that time. And that's really why that, yeah, like taking that time, like number 2 is really there, becomes spacious, because there seems like there's hardly any free time in most people's lives. I'm really conscious of trying to not be in time poverty in my own life, but there's still like time is taken up. Like there's so many things to do and things to fit in and all of those things. And it's like, but then when you go on retreat, you're just like in the best retreats, you arrive and you're just kind of taken care of from there on in. Like you put your things down, you find your room, you put your things down, you make your little space, and then you wander out and you don't have anything to do right away. You have a more fluid sense of time. You don't have to rush. Everything is there in the same place, right? You can, instead of like putting your attention outward constantly and giving attention to all those worries, like I said, you can start to kind of feel into yourself. And this takes some time, like feel into your own kind of heart space, right? Like what is important to you right now? What are your priorities and your cares and your most important things and your interests and what fills you up right now, and who are you right now too? Because like we, just like our kids, we see it so much more clearly with our kids that like they are a different person from one day to the next, right? They're like a river, right? Which is you never step into the same river twice. And our kids are constantly changing. And that's just the truth of life. And we can see it so much, especially with our kids, but it's true with us too. Like, who are you right now? Like, it's so beautiful to take time to stop rushing and say, oh, hello, me, like get to know myself again. Who am I right now? How do I want to feel? How do I want to live my life? That perspective stuff.
And I think that sort of sense of checking in with yourself and taking perspective really does, for me, lead to number 3, which I mentioned. Our number 3 reason to go on a retreat is to get inspired. So my favorite retreats are mindful parenting and writing retreats, because I do a lot of writing. And also I like ones with yoga because I like yoga. So I do find that I'm often deeply inspired at retreats. Either I have some idea for some writing, or I'm inspired to pick up a habit that I've been struggling with. It wasn't until I went on a retreat that mindfulness and meditation really became a consistent part of my life. And so there is this ability to, again, it goes with this sense of expansion and openness where you start to think more creatively. And sometimes that creatively is about a creative work you're doing, whether you're writing or painting or sculpting or something like that. And sometimes it's just creative thinking about a problem you've been struggling with, a different way to manage a sticky parenting dynamic or a situation with your parenting partner or something like that. Like sometimes you just go away and then you think, oh, why didn't I do it this way? And it could make life easier. So I really do find that for me, getting that time and space is a huge source of inspiration in my life and really helpful. Mm-hmm. And then, Hunter, I love what you said. Number 4 is just to listen. We get this space to just listen to ourselves, our own thoughts, our own dreams and wishes, to listen to the wisdom of the teachers on retreats, which I don't even know if this is on our list, but one of the things I love about retreats is you get to learn from really wise and thoughtful and kind people. And I love that. I'm so grateful for that. And also listening to the supportive ideas and suggestions of the other people on the retreat, but listening to the quiet outside. At Copper Beach in West Hartford, Connecticut, where Hunter and I do our 27, I think we've done 27 of these retreats together at Copper Beach. They have this beautiful, so almost all retreat spaces, I think this is true, at least that I've ever been to, have a beautiful outdoor space. Mm-hmm. Because part of it is just having that place to be outside and breathe and be in nature. And at Copper Beach, they also have a labyrinth, which I had never walked a labyrinth before. And when I first went, I was like, this is weird. And I'm not doing it because that's my gut reaction to everything new, because I'm a 9-year-old at heart.
I remember this moment.
I was like, the hell are we doing here? Walking in circles. Why would I do that? And then I have these like super deep thoughts about like how the labyrinth is such an amazing metaphor for life and change and growth. It was extremely deep thoughts, which would be super impressive if I could remember them now. But there is this way in which just being outside and listening to the sounds around you is so calming. And I forget to do that in daily life.
Breathe.
I'm interrupting the podcast to invite you to imagine listening to the ocean and feeling the warm breeze on your face. Imagine seeing little monkeys and smelling the fragrance of a tropical orchid while looking out at a vista of islands and endless ocean. This will be your reality when you join me for the Mindful Mama Costa Rica retreat next April. We'll be staying in a luxurious private estate, which has a view to the beach over the rainforest canopy from every room, as well as from the yoga porch and the infinity pool. Join me and other mindful mamas with each day designed to have a perfect balance of time for yoga, mindfulness, discussion, and free and open time so you can either make it adventurous, go hiking, learn to surf, kayak through the mangroves, go ziplining or more, or make it relaxing. Instead of adventures, relax poolside or wander down to the beach. We'll start each day with meditation and all levels yoga on the yoga porch. Every afternoon, we'll come together for guided relaxation and coaching and discussion with me. Locally sourced foods will be served at breakfast and dinner by our talented in-house chef. If you want to get away from everything and take the break that I know you deserve, join me. We have limited spots available, so now is the time to reserve at mindfulmamamentor.com/Costa Rica or email me at hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com. That's mindfulmamamentor.com/Costa Rica or email me at hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com. I can't wait for you to join me there.
Breathe.
Oh, I just want to jump in on listening because part of the reason why I'm doing the retreat in Costa Rica in April is because I went to this house and on a retreat at this place in Costa Rica last April, and it was amazing. And one of the things that was so healing for me in this particular place were the sounds, that listening part, because the way this is situated, it's right above the jungle canopy, but you can hear the waves of the ocean, which is a short walk away, about 10 minutes away, and you can see it. So you can see and hear the waves from every single space in the whole house that faces it's amazing. And so you hear this steady cadence of the waves. And for me, especially the ocean is so soothing and healing for me because I grew up in Rhode Island near the ocean. But then there were these sounds of like howler monkeys and like the wind and, listening to just having that quiet space to sort of listen to all the birds and just sitting there looking and listening. That I love that listening. I just wanted to jump in with that, and that sense of listening to ourselves, of course.
Yeah. And one of the things, in addition to sort of being away from home, that allows us to listen is not listening either with our ears or with our eyes to our smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a thing on retreat that's amazing, is that most retreat centers have a very explicit rule that no smartphones, certainly in the public spaces. And they really encourage you to not be on your phones when you're in your room. And so if you can make that commitment to really not look at your smartphone, and I understand, if you need to call your family to check in, fine. But if you can really make a commitment to yourself to not be on your phone, just that space from technology it's a game changer. It's amazing. And it makes us realize how much our phones kind of mess with our minds when we're home and using them all the time, and it increase our anxiety and increase our stress and fill us full of information that we really don't need at every waking minute. And so I think that in some ways, if nothing else, having that space where the expectation is that you are not on your phone is really a gift. It's an amazing gift that many of us never get in our lives.
And I think that's for number 5, detox. For me, I think detox, maybe you're having some other kind of detox, right? Where maybe there's a nutritional thing, but I think it's really that detox from that. I mean, for me, I think of the phone and the technology really, because, we are now addicted, right? So many of us to some degree or another, like we have these things in our pockets all the time that have all this information and all these things to show us and to tell us. And we know that it's there constantly, right? Like it's hard, it's beckoning us to open it and and see what is going on, who is connecting with me, what is reaching out. And so it's this thing that is pulling us away from being in the present moment all the time. And I'm just as, I'm just as bad as the rest of us. I have my screen-free Sunday, thank goodness, that kind of saves my life a little bit. But it's hard to create those boundaries with our phone. And so taking that time to detox from that, you might find that you sleep better. You might find you dream really vividly. It's about kind of retreat can be a time to kind of clean out and empty your mental desktop, right? And you leave a little lighter, a little less addicted, right? A little clearer, a little more refreshed, a little more present, right? You can kind of get that perspective on your own habits with technology and things like that a little bit more. It gives you a space to be able to choose, okay, I'm going to make some boundaries. And now that I've had some boundaries, maybe for 3 days, 7 days, whatever, I can stick to them a little bit more easily.
So there's one thing I have to say about the detox. I totally agree with everything you've said. I have been to a retreat center, which will go unnamed, not Copper Beach, that was like no coffee. And this was a huge problem for me. I mean, let's not get crazy about the detox here, people. Calm down. Also, I would like to point out that like 2 days isn't really enough time to detox from coffee. It's just enough time to get a really bad headache.
Yeah.
So one thing I would say is if you do have a lovely, delightful, healthy, continuous relationship with caffeine, I'm not going to call it an addiction. Just, if this is a thing for you, check with the place you're going and just make sure they have some kind of caffeinated beverage that is acceptable to you. Tea is not acceptable to me. The other thing I would say is that there is really an assumption that when you are on retreat, you're not engaging in sexual activity or drinking alcohol or using other drugs. And so, for me, just makes sense. And it's just another part of making a very sort of clean and clear and open and safe dynamic. But it's something you should know that hopefully you will see as a gift. But I just think it's a part of retreat that people should know about, that I actually really appreciate, that there's no confusion or complications or messiness on retreats. It just feels very clean and simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On my retreat, we have Costa Rican coffee in the morning. They're very into their coffee.
Just for the record, folks.
No taking away the coffee.
And in case any of you are wondering, this retreat in Costa Rica is going to be insane and out of this world. And if my schedule allowed it, I would be there. So if there is even a glimmer in your eye that maybe you could go to this retreat, you should definitely look into it because it's going to be incredible.
Oh, thanks, Carla. It will be. I'm really excited for it. Definitely something I'm doing kind of once in my life, and we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited. And that leads us actually into number 6, because number 6, I think I talked about a little bit before, was like lose the fear, right? But, I think it's this idea of, when I think of it, I guess specifically about that retreat in Costa Rica, like part of it is you have to kind of, there is like a hump to get over, right? Like we have to get over our own comfort and our own habits to reach out, to make the reservation, whether you're going to Costa Rica or whether you're going locally or whatever. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You might be with people you don't know. You might be in a place you don't know. You might have to get a passport. There's things that come up for us that we can that retreats can allow us to overcome these humps and then find a safe sort of landing place too. And then also when you get to a retreat, often very sort of just like you talked about with the sort of the detox, retreats are generally a safe place, like pretty literally and kind of figuratively, right? Like generally, you often don't have to lock your door. You don't have to worry about people breaking in or, literally or figuratively stealing your stuff or taking your piece. It's about retreats are created to create a really safe space where you're taken care of, where it's a place where you can be comfortable and let go and relax and soften all of the diligence that we kind of carry around with us on a daily basis.
And I just want to say to folks that if you are feeling, ambivalent, like part of you would love to go on a retreat and part of you is feeling fear, anxiety, how do I make the arrangements, the logistical issues of who's going to take care of the kids or do drop off and pick up or walk the dog or whatever it may be. That's part of the deal. Like that anxiety or concern, that's very, very normal. I have to tell you, every single time I go on retreat, I epically freak out at some point in the process and decide I'm not going to go. Literally every time. I remember the first time I had just arrived at the retreat center in Western Massachusetts, and I freaked out because I didn't bring a travel coffee mug with me. And I decided that I couldn't last the 5 days I was going to be there without a travel coffee mug. And I was like, I have to drive into town. And I'm like hiding in the car and madly Googling on my phone, like places where I could buy a travel coffee mug. I was in the middle of nowhere. There was no freaking coffee mug. So, and for me, what that was all of the anxiety I was holding about being away from my family and trying this new thing and being silent for a good part of every day. And what was that going to be like? And I sort of powered through it. I let myself be anxious and the rest of the treat was amazing. And I survived even without my travel coffee mug. And so if you are feeling some anxiety about going on retreat, just know that for many people, that's a normal, typical part of the process. And letting go and realizing that you can let that go and be really present for this experience is one of the gifts of going on retreat.
Yeah. It kind of it takes you out of your normal sort of habit zone, comfort zone, and puts you in this new place. And then that goes into like number 7, right? Remembering who you are, right? You're like, oh, here I am in this new place. You get kind of a context and a perspective on yourself, right? Like, in our society wants us to be, we have to be this role, right? We're the mother, we're the sister, whatever, we're the friend, we're the lover, we're the good worker, right? We're the person who volunteers for this. But we actually need to remember that we're individuals, we're human beings as opposed to human doings.
Ooh,
And
I like that.
yes, about being. And so, this is this idea on retreat. You can drop all those roles. And it might be the first time in decades that you are just you. Right? Exhale.
Yeah. And it's amazing. It's really a gift that I love. And you can decide which parts of yourself you want to share with others and which parts you don't, and how much you want to talk and how much you don't. And if you go on a silent retreat, which is really a form of, meditation, mindfulness retreat, you don't have to talk at all, which is freaky when you first think about it, and then amazing. So it's just something to think about.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing a silent retreat next year sometime too. So it'll be my first one. That'll be exciting.
It's actually, and I'm obviously a chatty Cathy, in case our dear listener, who we only have one,
really?
To get more, in case our dear listener didn't figure that out. And I was like, how do you survive without talking? Like literally, what do you do? It's great. It's actually a gift. It's such a gift to be released from the need to talk. It's a gift I'd like to give my daughters. We're still working on that. But yes, silent retreats are awesome, and not silent retreats are also awesome. So there's a range of awesomeness for one to choose from. Oh, can I talk about the next one? I love this point.
Yeah,
this
sure.
point.
Okay.
So point number 8, reason number 8, while retreats are amazing, is because you find your people. And here's the thing. If your shtick or one of your many shticks is mindfulness and meditation, you don't always know who your people are. And there have been many times in like restaurants and stores and stuff where my daughters are like, my mommy meditates. And they say this, and I'm like, and the person's looking at me like, you are banana pants. Like, what is this person crazy? What's happening? Like, I definitely get that judgy McJudgerson stare. And obviously that's lessening as mindfulness and meditation are becoming sort of more generally understood and accepted. But when, you have chosen this retreat, whether it's a crocheting retreat, I would totally go to that. Whether it's, retreat about writing or some sort of insight-based, there are a million different things you can go on retreat to learn and study and practice. And you've all chosen it for the same reason. And so you can just show up and be who you are, and the people there are going to be your people. Whether or not they're your BFFs, at least that they're folks you have a shared interest and a shared desire to learn more. And it's just really lovely and relaxing to be around folks who are psyched about the same stuff you're psyched about.
Yeah, I agree completely. You get there and you see, oh my gosh, there's X number of other people who are into this thing, and you have this shared experience, and your lives might be like wildly different, but you have this shared thing, and that's exciting, and it's fun to connect on the level of just, I'm getting away from my world, and I'm getting away from my roles, and I'm getting away from my kids for a week. Like, to have someone say, yeah, I get that, I'm there with you, is really healing. To have it's that sense of like on a retreat where you are talking, where, a retreat where you are sharing, like in the retreats we do a lot of sharing and connecting at a really deep level. It's amazing to see these other people, see other moms, that people you may know or may not know, and that we often know at a kind of a superficial level of like, hey, you do this, we do this. But oftentimes at a retreat, you can connect at a much deeper level, at a deeper level of like sharing some of our hopes and our fears, and a little bit more vulnerably. And it's so healing. It's so healing just to be heard, to hear others, to have that deep listening is a hugely healing experience.
And the other beautiful thing about the people on retreat is that they're all there to support each other and find support. And whether it's writing or mindfulness or yoga or whatever you're going on retreat about, it's probably something that on some level is challenging to you. And certainly, it is hard for me to sustain my mindfulness practice without support, without things like coming on this podcast and talking about it with Hunter, without reading books or going to talks. And so a retreat is a very supportive way to sort of rejuvenate and re-energize my mindfulness practice. And they help me feel less alone and more connected in whatever it is I'm struggling with. So even if I don't always get a solution to a problem, often just being reminded I'm not the only person who struggles to remember X, Y, or Z is incredibly helpful. And I remember on one meditation mindfulness retreat I went to with a very well-known teacher, and this teacher sent us out to do some mindful walking, and I was sort of roaming the halls. It was very cold, so I was roaming the halls, and I turned a corner and I saw the teacher sitting there scrolling through his or her cell phone. And you may think that I was like, what is going on here? But actually it was a gift to me, because I remember thinking, oh, right, this teacher is just a person too. This teacher has people they need to connect with. This teacher doesn't spend every single moment being perfectly 100% mindful. And maybe if they don't, then I don't need to either. And so for me, that moment of seeing this like sort of tiny peek behind the curtain of this person that I really revered and admired and continue to revere and admire was actually a beautiful gift, because I was reminded that none of us are like these amazing, perfect guru, unbelievable people all the time. We're all just humans trying to figure this out. And so that was a gift I took with me from retreat.
That's beautiful, because that's one of the big things too, is like, here we are, like you and I and the listener, right? Like we are connecting through this amazing technology, which is great, right? The technology is neutral. It's doing what it does. But part of what happens with our world kind of saturated with this technology is that people are maybe not connecting as much in person as much as they could, right? Like, so we can take what's beautiful about you connecting with that teacher and seeing that real moment is that, you're connecting in person in real space to a real human being. And it's part of that sense of like, I see you, I hear you, I know you, is huge. Just that to create that person, make that person really part of your life. And like, dear listener, Carla and I are part of your life. Yes. But wouldn't it be amazing to take us out of your earbuds and give me a hug? Wouldn't it be amazing, right? To like have that connection in real time, in real life, and have a real person to person, physical touch, human to human experience, to take it out of that digital realm and into, this is part of my real life. This is a person, and whether that teacher was for you or whether, we might be for you, the listener, like we're people you can connect with in real life, and retreats can make that possible, right? That real connection,
Yeah.
taking it out of the earbuds and into a real space is very powerful.
Big deal. Which brings me to our number 9 reason why retreats are awesome. And this is a very real reason in our family. And you wrote help others. In our case, it's a gift to my husband because of our work schedules and our jobs and our careers and the way we set up our lives. I am the default parent. So I drive the girls to school. I pick them up. I'm with them in the afternoons. When they're sick, I'm the one who's with them. And my husband, when he's home in the evenings, the mornings, and the weekends, he is a very hands-on, involved father, but he doesn't get to be the default parent. And I think he's ambivalent about that, just as I am ambivalent about my role as well. And so when I leave, he gets to be the default parent. And yes, there are some stressors associated with that in terms of balancing schedules and all that kinds of stuff. But he loves it because the girls don't come to me for stuff. They go to him. And often when I come home, I find that he's figured out some new system or way to do something that I had been stuck in a rut with, or he just figured out a better way to do it. And so he will say to me, like, isn't it time for you to go away somewhere, when he's ready for some more intensive time with the girls? And I'm like, yes, it is time for me to go away. Let me do this immediately. And so I think that in a very concrete way for our family, the retreat time is a gift to my husband and children. It's also a gift because I am significantly less bitchy and reactive when I get back. And it's kind of amazing. But when I come back, especially from mindfulness and meditation retreats with a silent component, I come home and I'm like the freaking Dalai Mama. Like nothing, my goat is not capable of being gotten. Is that a thing? Get my goat gotten? Yes. Okay, I said that right. I am not reactive. I am not agitated. And I am like super present. And then, within a day or so, it really starts to, as I'm looking at my phone and there's noise all around me and I'm constantly managing stuff, that really tapers off. But it is a gift to my family when I take care of myself. So, and that's a hard thing to remember.
Yeah.
Because, there is a part of my brain that's like, I'm the martyr. You can't live without me. How will this place run if I'm not here to micromanage everything? And I have to let go of that part of my brain and remember that I am a better, more present, and more enjoyable parent and wife to be around when I take care of myself.
Yeah. And for the listener who may be thinking like, I could never leave my kids alone, with my husband for a week, right? Or my partner for a week. It's like, I really want to push back against that, right? Because I think that part of that is our ego, right? Like our sense of a separate self that wants to feel important and gets a sense of worthiness and all of those things out of our role as parents. It's really, I invite you to kind of look at that and, push back on that a little bit. Like, is part of it ourselves who's saying, oh, they would be lost without me and that makes me feel good, right? Is that what's going on, right? Or can we extend that trust and that ability to, know that they've got this, they love their kids and you've got support around you that can support you leaving for 3 days, for 7 days. That's what mom is for. Your mother-in-law is, maybe happy to jump in and spend that time. And you letting go does make you come back a better person. I mean, particularly if you come to a mindful parenting retreat or a mindful mama retreat like Carla's and I, where you're really consciously talking about and learning skills to help you become a better parent and sort of slow yourself down and get yourself off that treadmill of doing. But really, I think I invite you to kind of push deeper and say like, well, no, like, let me look at who am I when I take this role out, right? When I kind of step out of this role and how can I meet myself in this new place? And it helps others. It helps others because you come back better, and it helps others to give them this, the positions they shift without you there to take up the space, and they get closer. It gives them a chance to get closer, which is really beautiful.
Right. Totally agree.
And so finally, number 10 is just to simply establish a new routine or a practice, right? We can go on retreat like you might go on a mindfulness retreat, or you might want to learn something new, etc. So, we can make conditions in our life so that we can, maybe make a creativity routine or yoga practice or mindfulness practice. But if you feel like you're always trying to squeeze time into an already full schedule, it can take a really, really long time, like years, to establish a mindfulness practice. So for instance, when you go on retreat to Costa Rica, we're doing meditation every day and we're doing yoga every day and bringing in a teacher that I really love, Miss Mallory. Hey. And so you can take this, maybe you take 7 days or maybe you take 3 days or whatever to establish a new practice or a new routine. And then, then you're not having to fight through your routine to, create this new thing. And you get encouraged by the example of others, right? And then you can go back home and kind of look at your life with that perspective and, decide on your priorities a little bit from there.
And, one of the things that you and I do, Hunter, on our retreats, which I think we've done like 54 of at Copper Beach, is
212, Carla.
Okay, that's a bit excessive now. Calm down. Is that we work hard to help our participants come up with a doable, realistic plan for when they get home. Mm-hmm. So I love that you walk us through not only extended yoga practices, but also really brief, like 5-minute yoga practices that we can then take home and do at a reasonable time. And the time I spend with you on retreat has been a huge driver in my yoga practice, because I really came to believe that even if I can't do 45 minutes a day, I can do 10 minutes twice a day. Mm-hmm. And that has been a game changer for me in terms of my feeling, my body, my calming myself down, that I really came to understand what a brief yoga practice looks like and how powerful it can be. And, we also talk to our participants about how does mindfulness inform your parenting in very concrete, specific ways. Like, I'm not talking about, it makes me calmer. Like, how? What is the connection there? And how can you support that connection in very specific ways? Are you going to sit in your car for 5 minutes before pickup and breathe deeply? Are you going to make time to meditate, after your kids get on the bus to school? Like, when is this going to happen and what's it going to look like? So not only, just sort of a big disruption in your life, like going on retreat, can be a very effective way to make change and start a new routine or practice, but also just getting some very specific strategies and ideas and skills for how to build this back into your busy life. That's a real benefit. I mean, that makes a real difference. And it's something that can only happen, I think, on retreat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a deep dive into what you're wanting to bring into your life. So this is beautiful. So just to recap, our 10 reasons: pull back, become spacious, get inspired, listen, detox, lose the fear, remember who you are, find your people, help others, and establish a routine and practice, as well as getting away from your kids sleeping through the night and having someone else cook you dinner.
I would also like to say that on many retreats, there's really time and space for going for walks or exercising or swimming or yoga, just like really moving your body in non-stressful ways. Like, nobody's asking you to train for a marathon on the retreat. They're just like, hey, here's a lovely, gentle way you could move your body that will feel really good. And that's nice. So you should do that. So Hunter, I'm thinking we should totally just do some shameless self-promotion here. And I would love to tell our listener, we'll have 2 next time, but this time our one dear listener. I'm cracking myself up. I really am. I think I'm hilarious. About our retreat coming up in March. And then maybe you could talk about your Costa Rica retreat. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Why don't you kick it off with mindful mothering, right?
I think that the official title is Mindfulness for Mothers.
Yeah, there it is.
At the Copper Beach Institute in West Hartford, Connecticut. It's an amazing place. So even if you can't come to our retreat, check out their website. They've got a ton of options. And this retreat is really geared towards anyone who identifies as a mother and wants to learn more about mindfulness. So whether you're very experienced in this or it's all kind of new to you, come check it out. We're going to be there being hilarious and awesome. And we're going to talk about mindfulness and parenting, self-awareness, self-compassion, meditation. Hunter's going to lead us through some great yoga. And the retreat center is just beautiful. They have this amazing labyrinth, which I've talked about. And it's just a really lovely space, and we'll be psyched to have you. We always have fun at this. And the dates for this year, it's going to be from March 1st to March 3rd, 2019. And again, you can read more on copperbeachinstitute.org.
Yeah. And when you go to this retreat, what you can expect is that you go on a Friday afternoon. We all get together we have all our meals together. So you get to like hang out with me and Carla and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, which is kind of fun.
More fun than it sounds, actually. Really, it is.
And there's an evening session, and then we have a morning and evening session in the Saturday. And there's also some spacious free time. They often have something on Saturday night, like they had like a concert, right? One of those times.
Yeah, they
And
do.
then
Concerts and drumming and awesome stuff.
cool stuff. And then we often have a morning session on Sunday, and then we have a lunch together, and that's how that works. Yeah, we'd love to have you join us there.
And there is coffee.
There's coffee. There's coffee.
There's coffee. So while you talk about Costa Rica, I'm just going to sit here and silently weep. Go ahead.
So come to the Costa Rica retreat with me. And so with the Costa Rica retreat, it's April 13th through 20th. And you stay in a very luxurious home in Costa Rica that has a view of the water from every single room, which every single room has its own balcony with a view of the water. And you wake up every morning and we'll do some meditation and yoga, bringing in a yoga teacher like on the yoga porch, which is open air to the rainforest canopy about the yoga porch. And then after that, there's a beautiful breakfast every day by Javier, who puts out like fresh fruits and all these wonderful things. And then in the middle of the day, it's open. You can spend time doing one of the many excursions that the concierge for the house gives us, a whole book of excursions that you can do, like zip lining and all things like that. You can make it very, adventurous. You can learn to surf, or you can relax by the infinity pool, or there's like a little 10-minute walk through the rainforest down to the beach. You can do that and just take that time relaxing. And then we gather together again in the afternoons, where I will be leading a deep relaxation form of yoga, and then mindful parenting coaching on relationships and deepening our relationships, so that you come back not only having had a bit of luxury and having relaxed and maybe a little tan, or who knows, but also as a better mama, a better person. And it's moms only. And then in the evening, there's dinner, and there's probably going to be at least like one dance party one night because
Dance party!
there are party lights at the house. And I feel
Party lights? What are party lights? What is that?
So I just like discovered, I saw that on the wall. I was like, it has a little marker that says party lights. And I was like, party lights. Party lights are so cool, Carla. Oh my God. Like,
it's a party light.
You connect your phone, the music, like via Bluetooth in that room. And then the party lights pick up on the beat of the music.
That would totally give me a seizure. I would be seizing on the floor. I'm like a cranky old lady. I'd be like, what is happening here? Turn off those lights.
But, well, see, there you go. There's your reason that it doesn't work out for your schedule. But maybe you, dear listener, can dance with me, and you can see the orchids on the trees bloom at night. And so you smell the orchids and you can dance to the party lights.
I would even dance to the party lights if I could smell orchids while I was dancing. That's amazing. I love orchids.
But yeah, it's all about kind of being taken care of, and whether you want it to be an adventure or whether you want it to be deeply relaxing, it's kind of up to you. So you can learn more about that at mindfulmamamentor.com/Costa Rica. So check it out. And then, I'll probably hop on the phone with you if you're interested, and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah. And if anybody has questions about Copper Beach, it's in West Hartford, Connecticut. You can shoot me an email, shoot Hunter an email. But if neither of these dates work for you, just Google retreat centers near me, find a place, go online, check out what they have to offer, and give yourself this gift, because it's a gift for you and for your entire family. When we take care of ourselves, we are more skillful, more grounded, more present, happier parents.
Oh my God. So I was listening to a podcast earlier with Mark Nepo, who is the author of the Book of Awakening and 20 other books. He's kind of a poet. Anyway, he was talking about how we are all humans are kind of cells in the body of the earth, right? Which is so cool and beautiful, poetic way to think about it.
I love that idea.
He said that, let me see if I can remember it. He said something like, if this is a time that is turning and looking maybe darker, it is our imperative to kind of keep the literacy of the heart alive during that time. And I thought, oh, how beautiful. And what a beautiful,
incredible.
I'm probably not saying it right, but what a beautiful call to action, right? To get ourselves out of just the regular doing, and to say, it's important for me to keep that literacy of my heart alive, to see who I am outside of all of my roles, and then to even come back to these roles as a more grounded, more fulfilled, more relaxed human being. I think it's a beautiful, reason to do that.
That is gorgeous. Also, on many retreats, you don't have to wash dishes.
No, you don't. On a lot of retreats, you don't have to wash dishes. Hallelujah.
Amazing.
Well, thank you, Carla, so much for coming on and talking about retreats with me. I really appreciate it.
It was such a pleasure. And I can't wait to see you at our retreat in March. And I hope you have just a truly amazing time in Costa Rica.
Thank you. Thank you, Carla. And thank you, as always, for coming on the Mindful Mama podcast. I haven't asked you this yet, but I would love to have you come back on again before the new year or around the new year for us to talk about making changes for the new year. Are you in?
Oh my gosh, I'm so in because I have so many opinions about that topic.
All right, dear listener, listen for Carla to come back. We will make it work in our schedules. Sit kids aside and come back and talk for the new year. So thank you so much, Carla.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mindful Mama podcast. I love talking to Carla. I hope you love talking to Carla too. I love what she said about how retreats help her family. Yes, we forget about that, right? It's not just all relaxation. There's so much more. So I would love to hear your takeaways. Please send me a line on Facebook, or you can find me on Instagram, Mindful Mama Mentor. And if you have questions or you have those comments, you can always email me at hunter@mindfulmamamentor.com. And I would love it if you would like to subscribe and leave a rating, all those good stuff. But if you want to ask me about the Costa Rica retreat, I would love to talk to you about it when I'm done at the end of this outro. You're going to hear a little bit more about the retreat, and along with a piece of music that I feel like just captures kind of some of the magic of that place. So listen up for that. I mentioned that I'm having the conversations for group coaching. If you want to learn more about that, go to mindfulmamamentor.com/group coaching. It's a great way to work with me and a dedicated group of mamas dedicated to change and transformation in the new year. And that's it, my friend. I'm wishing you a beautiful week. Whether you're listening to this now in December, I guess it is now, or moving into the holiday season, or if you are in the future, hello, future person. Wherever you are in the space-time continuum, I wish you a beautiful week. I wish you peace and some joyful moments. And thank you so much for listening. Namaste. Thank you to DJ Taz Rashid for this wonderful song, Inspiration Drive. Go ahead and download his album, Live in Love, on Apple Music or on Spotify or wherever you listen to music.